We've all got to start somewhere, and many of us start with the trusty hardtail. They're the cheapest and easiest way of getting into the sport. But you've bought your hardtail and you're looking to progress your skills, but what do you need to do? Well, don't worry, because today I've got some top skills that you can learn on your hardtail to progress your riding. This next skill is an absolute gem, and it's not just great for when you're starting out on your hardtail adventures. It's really useful actually just to have any time, and that is the wheelie. It's great for picking your front wheel up over obstacles. It's a skill that can transfer into other areas as well, moving your body around. But how do we actually do it? Let's take a little look. The key to lifting the front is timing your pedal stroke with pulling on the bars. As you crouch over the front and pop up with your body, pulling up with your arms, you're going to want to stamp down on the pedals, firstly with your lead foot, but then following through the pedal stroke to keep the power down. This is going to help the front end to lift up. Once the front wheel's up, carry on that pedal stroke, keeping them nice and smooth, shifting your body weight backwards and your arms extended but not locked out. Cover the rear brake and feather it if needs be. This is going to stop you from looping out. A couple of top tips for pulling the little wheelies and learning them then. Well, if you are going to do them, come somewhere where it's a bit soft and safe to do so. It's not busy here, there's no one around. Also, the ground's nice and soft, so somewhere like this or out in a grassy field is much like the wheelie then. The next one is the manual, equally useful, if not sometimes even more. It's almost the same as a wheelie, but actually without the pedaling part. But how do we do them, and where would you implement them? Well, where you'd certainly implement them is actually out on the trail, picking the front wheel up and over lots of little obstacles again, sometimes where you can't get a pedal stroke in. But let's look at how we do them. As you're going along, keep the pedals level, squat down into the bike, and then pop up, shifting your weight diagonally back behind the rear wheel, extending your arms and legs, pulling up the front wheel at the same time. As you do this, make sure you keep your weight to the rear to help with lifting that front wheel and keeping it up. The more you practice this, the more you'll get used to finding the balance point. Top tip, always cover the rear brake to stop you from looping out. Trails, well, they've got lots of different obstacles in them, from fast open, rocky, gnarly sections, to tight, twisty sections, to corners, to jumps. Now, you're just starting and you're watching this video maybe because you need some beginner tips. So jumps might not be number one on your priority. So what can you do over a jump like this one in front of me? Well, you can pump your way over it. But what is pumping? Well, it's essentially using your arms, legs, and the bicycle itself to absorb obstacles in the track and trail ahead of you and use those to generate speed. Much like this jump here in front of me, instead of launching off of it, we're going to absorb that jump, push on it, and generate speed coming out of it because, well, maybe we just don't quite have the skill to go sending it into oblivion to start with. Let's talk about this jump we've got specifically in front of me though, but bear in mind pumping can be used in anything from rough ground to turns as well to help generate that speed. It's the same process, but we're going to be specific at this one. On the run up to something like this, at a controlled speed, pedals level, I'm going to be standing up, and as I get to the base of this jump, sort of around here, just at the bottom of it, that's where I'm going to start to absorb the takeoff with my arms and legs, bringing the bike into the body. Now, when I get to the top, just as I sort of go over the crest, that's where I'm going to start to come up with my body. So I'm almost standing back up on the bike again. And then as I come back down the other side, I'm going to crouch into the bike, and on the bottom or the run out of this, I'm going to push into the ground, extend my body again to generate speed and roll out. If you really want to get good at your pumping, well, the best places to learn actually are BMX tracks or pump tracks. That's what they're specifically designed for. You can link up berms, turns, jumps, rollers, all sorts to really sort of link the motion together and get really, really good at it. Plus, it's a safe environment. Even better. This next one is actually an essential for the hardtail. It's the bunny hop. It's one of the most useful ones, I think, because actually it's essentially picking the bike up and putting it down somewhere else using your body. Now, when you have got less bounce and all your mates out there on their big old full sussers, this one can make your life so much easier when riding down those gnarly trails. Where can you use a bunny hop then? Well, actually there's tons of places that it's a both practical and useful skill to have. From hopping over really rough sections to picking different lines to just clearing gaps and trail obstacles that might be in the way. How do we bunny hop? Well, let's start with body position. I've got a trusty tree I placed here earlier where I can show you sort of what position we're going to be in. We're going to start with our pedals level, up in the neutral riding position, so bum sort of over or just slightly behind the saddle, a bend in the knees and in the arms here, and just ready to sort of squat into the bike. The first part of sort of the bunny hop motion is once you're in that neutral riding position, you're going to squat into the bike, then also shifting your weight slightly backwards, kind of like a coiled snake ready to strike. But we'll get back to that bit in a minute. So like, you can practice this either static or moving along if you like, but going along, squat into the bike, shifting your weight ever so slightly back, ready to explode out of it. It's then all about shifting your weight backwards, like I said. So it's down, shift your weight backwards and pull up with your arms. So you'll be come down, and when you shift your weight backwards, you should notice that that will, extending the arms as well, lift that front wheel up. So we've done the front end, but now we need to get the back end to come up as well. Once you've got that front end sort of lifting kind of motion dialed in, you really need to get the back end up. That's the bunny hop, obviously. So once you're back here and your body weight is back here, it's then leaping sort of diagonally up, forwards in an arc to bring the back end up. So what you'll end up doing is something whoop, like a little cat leap, like that, I call it. This is done by forcing your feet back in the pedals to grip while shifting all your body weight, picking the front end up diagonally forwards like this. So you'll be up and forwards to level the bike out in the air. As you've no doubt learnt by now, line choice on a hardtail can be crucial to how your ride goes. Avoiding bumps, jumping bumps, whatever, the smoothest route can actually pay dividends sometimes, especially for your ankles and wrists. We're at a particularly bumpy section today, and I'm going to run you through the line choices here and show you how I do each one, so you can have a little think about next time you're on a ride, what line might be best for you on your hardtail. Line choice on this segment then, well, we've got two main lines. We've got the left, or rider's left, outside line. It's smoother, but it's longer. Or we then come to this, the straight line through it. It's obviously got a bit of a drop. It's a lot steeper and is going to require a lot more commitment on your hardtail. The run-in's about the same for both of them, so it really depends on what you want to hit and where you split. The second part of our section then, well, again, there's two main lines. There's this rider's left again. So it's, like I said, a bit more weavy, but it's entirely rollable all the way round. The main line, well, that's a whole lot more commitment. Once you get to the bottom, especially here on your hardtail, you have got a drop that you've got to do. There's no way around it, and you can't even really roll this one, which is what makes line choice so important. I think it's probably time we did them both and see how they go. Well, there you have it. That's both lines conquered on the hardtail. Now it's clear to see that one is obviously slightly slower and longer than the other, and the other one right behind me here, just requiring a little bit more thought and commitment on something with no bounce on the back end, but still perfectly doable. So it just shows next time you're out, have a little think about what you're going to ride and how to ride it on your trusty hardtail steed. But anyway, that's enough for today. I've had fun shredding my hardtail. I hope I've managed to help you with some beginner skills for all you new riders on hardtails out there, or if you've bought a hardtail for the winter. But that's it from me. I'm off. Happy riding, everybody. Stay safe, and I'll catch you later.